The birthday candles flickered in the dim light of the community center as 6-year-old Lily closed her eyes to make a wish. Her father, Mark, watched with a bittersweet smile, wondering if she was wishing for the same thing she had last year. A mother. What happened next would change their lives forever. When his impossibly wealthy boss, Elise Blackwood, a woman who had never shown interest in children or family, knelt beside Lily and whispered those 5 world-shattering words. "Can I be your mom?" If you're touched by stories of unexpected family bonds, hit that like button right now and subscribe to continue following heartwarming stories that remind us what truly matters in life. Mark Reynolds wiped his brow as he frantically arranged plastic cups on the folding table. The community center smelled of floor cleaner and the lingering aroma of last night's senior bingo. It wasn't the dream venue he'd imagined for his daughter's 7th birthday, but it was all he could afford after being laid off from his construction job 3 months earlier. "Daddy, is it almost time?" Lily peeked around the doorway, her gap-toothed smile wide beneath the plastic tiara she hadn't removed since he'd given it to her that morning. "Almost, princess." He forced enthusiasm into his voice. "Your friends will be here any minute." The truth was, Mark wasn't sure how many of the invited children would actually show up. They'd moved to this upscale neighborhood only after his sister offered her garage apartment at a reduced rent. Lily's classmates lived in homes 10 times the size of their humble dwelling, with parents who drove luxury vehicles and hosted elaborate birthday celebrations with petting zoos and professional entertainers. Mark had spent weeks taking extra shifts at Blackwood Enterprises, where he'd recently been hired as a night janitor, just to afford the modest cake and decorations. His boss, Elise Blackwood, was a legend in the business world. A self-made billionaire who had transformed her father's failing company into a global empire. She was known for her ruthless business tactics and impossibly high standards. Mark had only encountered her twice in the 3 months he'd worked at Blackwood Tower. Both times she had barely acknowledged his existence, her attention firmly fixed on whatever crisis demanded her immediate attention. He'd heard whispers from other employees, that she worked 18-hour days, that she had no family or personal life, that beneath her icy exterior lay a profound loneliness few ever glimpsed. The party was scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. By 2:30, only 3 children had arrived, accompanied by mothers who clearly felt uncomfortable in the modest surroundings. Mark did his best to make conversation, but the awkward silence stretched between them like a chasm. "Daddy, why isn't anyone else coming?" Lily tugged at his sleeve, her eyes wide with confusion. Mark knelt down, his heart breaking. "Sometimes people get busy, sweetheart. But look, Jake, Emma, and Sophia are here. We're going to have a great time." At that moment, the community center door swung open. Mark felt his stomach drop as Elise Blackwood stepped into the room. She wore a tailored black pantsuit that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Her auburn hair swept into an elegant updo. What on earth was she doing here? "Mr. Reynolds." Her voice carried across the room. "I hope I'm not intruding." Mark hurried over, conscious of his worn jeans and faded t-shirt. "Miss Blackwood, this is unexpected. I overheard you mentioning your daughter's birthday party to the security guard." She glanced around the sparsely decorated room. "I thought I might stop by." Before Mark could respond, Lily appeared at his side, looking up at Elise with undisguised curiosity. "Are you Daddy's friend?" Elise Blackwood, the woman whose mere presence made Fortune 500 CEOs nervous, seemed momentarily speechless. She knelt down, bringing herself to Lily's level. "I'm your father's boss. My name is Elise. I'm Lily. I'm 7 today." She held up 7 fingers proudly. 7 is a very important age. Elise's voice softened in a way Mark had never heard before. "Happy birthday, Lily." "Thank you." Lily beamed. "Do you want some cake? Daddy made it himself." Mark felt heat rise to his face. "It's just from a box mix. Nothing special." "I'd be honored to have some cake." Elise smiled, actually smiled, and Mark felt the room tilt slightly on its axis. What happened next unfolded like a dream. Elise Blackwood, CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, sat cross-legged on the floor playing musical chairs with 7-year-olds. She helped serve the lopsided chocolate cake Mark had struggled to frost that morning. She laughed, a genuine unrestrained sound, when Lily insisted on placing a party hat atop her perfectly styled hair. The mothers who had been checking their watches suddenly found reasons to stay. Mark caught snippets of conversation as Elise chatted with them, mentioning charitable foundations and community initiatives he'd never known existed. When it came time for presents, Lily tore through the modest pile with enthusiasm. A coloring book from Emma, a stuffed unicorn from Sophia, a box of sidewalk chalk from Jake. Mark's gift, a second-hand bicycle he'd spent weeks refurbishing, earned him a flying tackle hug from his daughter. "There's one more," Elise said quietly, producing a small box wrapped in silver paper. Mark wanted to protest, to explain that she shouldn't have, that this unexpected appearance was already too much. But Lily was already carefully unwrapping the gift. Inside lay a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm. A tiny carousel horse that caught the light as Lily lifted it in wonder. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "My mother gave me one just like it when I was 7, Elise explained. "She told me that carousel horses are magical because they're always reaching for something just beyond their grasp, but they never stop trying." Mark saw something in Elise's eyes then. A vulnerability, a glimpse of the child she must have been before becoming the formidable woman who now commanded boardrooms and business empires. As the party wound down and parents collected their children, Elise helped Mark clean up, gathering paper plates and folding chairs with efficiency that seemed at odds with her designer attire. "You didn't have to stay and help," Mark said, embarrassed by her presence in this humble setting. "I wanted to." She hesitated. "Your daughter is remarkable, Mr. Reynolds." "Mark. Please." "Mark." She nodded. "Lily reminds me of myself at that age. Before." She trailed off, her gaze distant. "Before what?" "Before life got complicated." She smoothed an invisible wrinkle from her sleeve. "I lost my mother when I was 8. Cancer. My father buried himself in work afterward. Building the company became his refuge from grief." Mark didn't know how to respond. The personal admission from this intensely private woman felt like being handed something precious and fragile. "I'm sorry about your mother," he said finally. "Lily's mom left when she was 2. Just packed her things one day, and said she wasn't cut out for motherhood." The words hung between them, unexpectedly intimate in the empty community center. Lily returned from saying goodbye to her friends, her new bracelet jingling softly. "Ms. Elise, are you leaving too?" Elise knelt down again, eye level with the child. "Yes, I need to go. But thank you for letting me be part of your special day." Lily cocked her head to one side, studying Elise with the unfiltered curiosity of childhood. "My friend Emma has 2 mommies. I don't have any. Just Daddy." Mark felt his chest tighten. "Lily, that must be difficult sometimes," Elise said gently. Lily nodded solemnly. "Daddy does mommy things too. But sometimes he doesn't know how to braid hair right or what to say when I'm sad about girl stuff." "Your father seems to be doing an extraordinary job," Elise said, glancing at Mark with something like admiration. "He is." Lily beamed at her father before turning back to Elise. "But I still wish I had a mommy sometimes." The silence that followed felt charged with possibility. Elise's expression shifted, something complicated and unreadable passing across her features. "Lily," she said softly, "can I ask you something?" Lily nodded eagerly. "Can I be your mom?" The words hung in the air like suspended particles of light. Mark felt his world tilt sideways, certain he had misheard. Lily's eyes widened. "Really? You want to be my mom?" Elise's cheeks flushed pink. The first time Mark had ever seen her anything less than completely composed. "I mean, I'd like to spend more time with you. With both of you. If that's something you might want too." Mark struggled to make sense of what was happening. His billionaire boss was offering. What exactly? To play a role in their lives? To form some kind of relationship with his daughter? "I would like that very much," Lily said with the simple certainty of childhood, before Mark could gather his thoughts. Later that night, after Lily had fallen asleep clutching her new bracelet, Mark sat at the small kitchen table, replaying the day's events. His phone buzzed with an incoming text. "I apologize for my impulsive question today. I overstepped, but I meant what I said. Elise." Mark stared at the message for a long moment before responding. "No apology needed. Lily hasn't stopped talking about you, but I'm confused about what you're suggesting." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Finally. So am I. Could we talk? Tomorrow? Neutral territory. They met at a quiet cafe halfway between the Blackwood Tower and Mark's apartment. Elise arrived looking decidedly less corporate in dark jeans and a cashmere sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, cradling a mug of black coffee. "I'm not usually so impulsive." "What made you come to the party?" Mark asked. "The real reason." Elise took a careful sip of her coffee. "I recognize something in you, I think. The way you speak about Lily. The way you rearranged your entire schedule to make her birthday special." She traced the rim of her mug. "My father worked nights when I was young before the company took off. I remember how tired he always was, but he never missed a single school event." "What happened between you and your father?" Her smile turned sad. "Success happened. After my mother died, he channeled everything into the business. By the time I was in high school, he was too busy building an empire to notice I was growing up. When he died 5 years ago, I inherited a global corporation and the realization that I'd become just like him. All work, no connection. And now I'm 38 years old with more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes and no one to share it with." She met his eyes directly. "Until I walked into that community center, I hadn't realized how empty my life had become." Mark considered her words. "So what exactly did you mean when you asked Lily if you could be her mom? Because she's already asking when she'll see you again, and I need to be careful with her expectations. She's been hurt enough." "I don't know exactly," Elise admitted. "It was a moment of clarity, I suppose. Or madness." She leaned forward. "But I'd like to find out. I'd like to be part of her life, your lives, if you'll let me." "As what?" "My boss who occasionally drops by. As a friend to start. And then we see where it leads." In the weeks that followed, a strange new routine developed. Elise would come for dinner on Wednesday evenings. She helped Lily with her science project. She taught Mark how to properly braid hair by practicing on an old doll Lily had outgrown. At work, things shifted subtly. Mark was offered a day position in the maintenance department. Better hours, better pay. When he questioned whether it was appropriate, Elise was blunt. "You're qualified for the role. Your schedule with Lily makes you a more stable employee with daytime hours. This is business, not charity." 3 months after the birthday party, Elise invited them to her home. A stunning penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Lily pressed her nose against the glass, entranced by the twinkling lights below. "You live in the sky," she declared, awestruck. "It feels that way sometimes," Elise agreed. "Too far from the ground." That evening, after Lily had fallen asleep in the guest bedroom, Mark found Elise on the balcony, staring out at the cityscape. "You've changed her life," he said quietly. "She talks about you constantly. Her teacher says she's more confident at school. She's changed mine too." Elise turned to face him. "I've been going through the motions for years, Mark. Building the business, acquiring companies, making more money than I could ever need. And for what? I couldn't even tell you what I wanted anymore. And now I know exactly what I want." Her voice was steady, but he could see the vulnerability beneath. "I want Wednesday dinners and science projects. I want to hear about Lily's day at school. I want—" She stopped, took a breath. "I want more than just existing." Mark stepped closer, drawn by the raw honesty in her words. "Elise, what are we doing here? Really? I think we might be building something." She met his gaze. "A family, perhaps. If that's something you could consider." The word hung between them, laden with possibility. 6 months after the birthday party that had changed everything, they faced their first real challenge. A photo appeared in a business tabloid. Elise Blackwood, ice queen of corporate America, at the zoo with a maintenance worker and a little girl. The headline was brutal. Blackwood air slumming it. Romance or PR move? Mark found her in her office, the magazine open on her desk. "I'm so sorry," she said immediately. "I never meant to expose you and Lily to this. Are you ashamed to be seen with us?" The question came out more sharply than he intended. "What? No. God, no." She looked genuinely shocked. "I'm worried about what this means for you. The scrutiny. The assumptions people will make. Let them assume." Mark surprised himself with his certainty. Unless you're having second thoughts? Never. The fierceness in her voice left no room for doubt. But this changes things. People will talk. Your coworkers, Lily's teachers. The board is already asking questions. What are you telling them? The truth. She stood, moving around the desk to face him directly. That for the first time in my life, I've found something more valuable than quarterly projections and market share. She took his hands in hers. That I'm in love with a man who teaches me daily what actually matters. That his daughter is the most remarkable person I've ever met. Mark felt the world shift beneath him at her words. You've never said that before. I'm saying it now. Her eyes held his. I love you, Mark. I love Lily. I love the life we're building. And I don't care who knows it. When the elevator doors opened to the Blackwood Tower lobby the next morning, Mark was stunned to find Elise waiting for him, Lily's hand in hers. What's happening? He asked, confused by their presence. Show your dad what we did, Elise prompted gently. Lily proudly displayed a child-sized business card. Lily Reynolds, junior consultant on important matters. We're having breakfast with the board of directors, Elise explained, smoothing Lily's hair. I thought it was time they met my family. The word washed over Mark like warm rain. Family. It had been so long since that word had meant anything beyond just him and Lily. The meeting didn't go as planned. 2 board members resigned, claiming Elise had lost focus. Stock prices dipped temporarily. Business reporters speculated endlessly about the real story behind Elise Blackwood's surprising personal life. Through it all, Elise remained steadfast. The company will recover, she told Mark one evening as they prepared dinner together. A domestic scene he could never have imagined a year earlier. Some things are worth the risk. On Lily's 8th birthday, exactly 1 year after they had first met, Elise arranged a proper celebration at her penthouse, transformed for the occasion into an enchanted forest complete with a canopy of twinkling lights and centerpieces of live butterflies that would later be released in the rooftop garden. As Lily blew out her candles, surrounded by friends from school who now accepted their unusual family without question, Elise leaned close to Mark. I've been thinking, she said softly. The penthouse feels empty when you and Lily aren't here. It's not really a home until you're in it. Mark knew what she was asking. Are you sure? It's a big step. I've never been more certain of anything. She took his hand beneath the table. The guest room could become Lily's room permanently. We could convert the home office into a space for your woodworking. Make this place ours instead of just mine. Later, after the guests had gone and Lily was examining her presents, Mark and Elise told her about the potential change. So we would live here? With the windows to the sky? Lily asked wide-eyed. If that's something you'd like, Elise said carefully. Your dad and I thought. Would you really be my mom then? Lily interrupted. For real? The question hung in the air, charged with meaning. Elise looked to Mark, who nodded almost imperceptibly. If you'd want me to be, Elise said, her voice thick with emotion. Nothing would make me happier. Lily considered this with the serious deliberation only children can truly manage. I think my real mom wasn't ready to be a mom, she said finally. But you are. You learned all the mom things. I had an excellent teacher. Elise smiled at her. So can I call you mom now? Lily asked, the simple question carrying the weight of years of longing. Yes, Elise whispered, tears spilling onto her cheeks. Yes, you can. 3 years later, the community center where it all began underwent a mysterious renovation. State-of-the-art facilities replaced the worn equipment. The leaking roof was fixed. The dingy walls brightened with murals created by local artists. No one could quite determine where the funding had come from, though rumors circulated about an anonymous donor with personal connections to the space. On Lily's 11th birthday, they returned there for a special celebration, not just of her birth, but of the family they had become. Mark watched as his wife, they had married in a simple ceremony the previous year, helped their daughter distribute cupcakes to the children who now benefited from the center's after-school programs. The journey hadn't been smooth. There had been adjustments, misunderstandings, moments when their different backgrounds seemed insurmountable. Mark had struggled with the wealth disparity, with feeling that he couldn't provide what Elise could. Elise had grappled with balancing her corporate responsibilities with her new role as a mother and partner. But they had faced each challenge together, building something neither had dared to imagine before that fateful birthday party. "Penny for your thoughts," Elise said, appearing at his side. "Just thinking about how much has changed." He slipped his arm around her waist. "If you had told me 4 years ago that my billionaire boss would become my wife and Lily's mother, I'd have thought you were crazy. Sometimes the most unlikely stories turn out to be the truest." She rested her head against his shoulder. "When I asked Lily if I could be her mom, I had no idea what I was really asking for. Any regrets? Not a single one." She watched as Lily led a group of younger children in a game, her confidence and kindness evident in every interaction. "The company is doing better than ever, you know? Turns out having a balanced life makes me a better CEO. Not a worse one. And a better mom," Mark added softly. "The best." Elise's eyes glistened. "You know what Lily told me yesterday? She said she's going to write about us for her school assignment on unexpected blessings. Said she got the best mom in the world because I chose her, and she chose me." As the celebration continued around them, Mark reflected on the winding path that had brought them here. A single dad struggling to create a special day for his daughter. A lonely executive who had everything and nothing at the same time. A little girl brave enough to wish for something that seemed impossible. Sometimes the families we build matter more than the ones we're born into. Sometimes a simple question, "Can I be your mom?" can change everything. And sometimes the most beautiful stories begin in the most unexpected places, like a modest community center with a leaking roof and a lopsided chocolate cake, made from a box mix. Life doesn't always follow the path we expect. Sometimes it offers something far better than we could have imagined, if we're brave enough to say yes. Thank you for watching this story until the end. If it touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories about families that find each other in the most unexpected ways. Remember, sometimes the people who come into our lives by chance are the ones who were meant to be there all along. Until next time, cherish the family you have, whether by blood or by choice.